This is a Peerless number 6 reel. The number 5 and the number 6 are two of the more complicated pieces that we do have, although it's not that hard to take apart to clean and to put things such as grease and oil into them. We're not going to worry about this side right now. What we are going to do is we're going to flip it over here. We're going to use a flathead screwdriver that does not go over the edges of the screws so we don't scratch up the black plate. And we're going to take these off. We'll do 2 on either side. Then we will use a larger screwdriver, which I apparently don't have next to me at the moment, to undo the screw on the handle. In this case, I'm going to use the back of a knife to give it a quick twist. Once it's loose, we'll take that off, and that will relieve pressure on the center, and then take off the other 2 screws. Really, you can take these off however you see fit. This is just how I always put them together. Alright, so once we have those screws out, I'm going to put them all somewhere safe. In this case, right off to the side here. We want to make sure that we don't lose anything. Some of these screws, such as the handle knob screw and the flat side or rounded side plate screws, are available for purchase if you happen to lose them. I'm going to slide the spool up a little bit, which will raise up the plate. We'll take the plate off. And you can see here, this is where you would normally grease the gear. This grease is actually pretty old. It's a little sticky though. So if it looks like this, that's typically okay. But if you touch it and it's sticky and not really greasy anymore, you're going to want to remove all this. You can remove that with alcohol. Use a crappy toothbrush, clean it all out, use some alcohol, get it all out of there, and then you can use some new lubricant. I recommend the synthetic, preferably, because it has a higher resistance to water, and then you would re-lube around this. Similarly, within the actual mechanism here, this is our pawl and spring mechanism for the number 6. They work a little different than the other ones. Some of them, if you have an A model, you'll have a little knob here that you can turn to tighten or loosen the drag. But this is the drag system. The screw here on the pawl is the same as all the plate screws, nice and flat, no problem. We have more of those. These 2 screws, however, this is what we call the rack block. If you have an adjustable, it will be a metal one. These non-adjustables are this plastic Delrin. The 2 screws that are in here, we do not have any more of these, and all of our screws were precision machined specifically to our specs. You don't want to lose these. I highly recommend not taking this apart unless you're having a spring problem, even if you are. What you can do, especially on the non-adjustable drags, is you can loosen these and slide the spring out, making a little note. I usually take a white pencil and make a mark here and here so I know where my spring's going to be. And then I would go and loosen this a little bit, slide the spring all the way out, slide the new spring back in. But again, you really don't want to lose these. I don't have any more for sale, and I can't have any of them made at this point. So again, don't lose. Anyway, the number 6 is a bit different. As I mentioned before, it's a little more complicated than the rest of our reels. We're going to slide the spool out, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Once the spool comes out of the reel, slide that out. You can see on the inside there's this other spring mechanism in here. Now this mechanism is managed by this to adjust your drag. This will adjust this older style spring mechanism in here, which will slide right out so you can take a quick look at it. If you end up needing to replace any of these, what you see here and here, we do have a limited supply of these in stock. They are leather spacers. Really, you can go get leather anywhere. You could take this out and get a punch and punch out the size that you're looking for, and then put them together with a water-resistant glue. But we're not going to mess with that today. We're going to put that right back in here, spin it until it drops into its spot. It wouldn't hurt to put a little bit of grease on the spindle here. on top of this side. For number 6s, they're incredibly long. Those are the ones that go face down. And you can also grease the very tips of these leather pads as well. You'll see on the back of this that there's a little bit of grease that's been moved around it. All of this grease on this side happens to be fine on mine, so I'm going to leave it as is. We're going to slide this back in, making sure I don't get my line caught. It's easier to do this if you don't already have a line in the spool, but that's okay. So we put it all back together. Same thing, when you're going back on, I recommend choosing 2 sides. Do not fully tighten them down. Get them as close as, get them finger tight. Sometimes it's easier to just do it with your fingers to get them started than it is with the screwdriver. But once you get all 4 of them finger tight, this is hard to do on doing camera. But once you get all 4 of the screws finger tight, then you place your S-handle back on and tighten that screw down first. Remember not to use too much pressure. You want to use enough so it's not going to back out on you, but you don't want to use too much that you dig into it. What that will do doing this first is it will make sure that the center of this is pushed down, because as you press screws into either side, it's going to force one side down and the other side down. So you finger tight all these first, plug this guy back in, tighten them up, finger tight as well, and then go around to each screw and tighten them up a bit more.